Hey guys, Xlice here. So I just finished blasting through a bunch of stages of NTE's Endgame. I first finished the first 10 floors here, which unlocks the rotational 10 floors down here. I decided to stop at floor 3 here since the enemies are getting pretty strong. These are level 69, and the next floor is going to be level 71, and my characters are level 50, which is what you can unlock once you hit Hunter level 30. But I was making a really clean progress. Like, I did not struggle in these 3 floors here because the floor buff is 30% cosmos damage and anima damage, which I'll explain in a bit. But yeah, I did not even struggle this. I could have gone a lot more, but I was just like, hey, like, it's really good to stop here considering that I'm able to do the endgame content 20 levels below and still able to 3-star it. That being said though, these enemies fucking hurt. Okay, so you do need to dodge. It's a massive dodge check. So the most difficult floor that I had to struggle on is this, which is Morphix here. This stage buff is not that beneficial to this team, but it was still just a DPS check, and I barely got it within the 3-star time range. Here's the thing though, out of all of these floors in this endgame, by the way, just to show you guys what the endgame is, this is called Beyond the Rails. I'm sure you guys are aware of this. This is where we are at. Here's the crazy thing. The MVP through all these fights, you guys are gonna see, okay, wow, Nonali, wow, great. Nonali, wow, great. Nonali again, okay, so cool. Nonali's used everywhere. No, that's not quite what we're looking at, okay? The crazy thing, the MVP through all these floors was not Nonali. It was not Hathor, okay? Who are still my quote-unquote highest invested characters, so I'll show you in a second. It's this cute free tycoon character. It's Chiz, okay? You guys will see. My Nonali... Holy voice lines. Okay, my Nonali's juiced. We're starting to get into week 2 of NTE. I started to min-max, right? I'm starting to min-max on the consoles. I started to get all the modules. I started to get, you know, double crit pieces and stuff like that. So she's juiced, bro. Okay, 76-100, which is pretty good right now. My consoles give plus 54, plus 48. And my Hathor is also pretty strong, 29-116. The crit right here is not really telling the full story. Lakshana characters get a lot of crit for free here. Increased crit chance here. Esper ability here gains increased crit chance. So yeah, she's getting a lot of free crit chance here. And her console is 24-49, which is also pretty good. But here's the thing. This girl, Chiz, she is strong as she's completely free to play. She's easy to invest in, and she will hard carry your ass in the early endgame floors. Let's get into it. First off, how do you get this character? She's from the Tycoon level. Free. Completely free. So level 18, you're gonna get her for free. Level 21, you're gonna get her specialized arc for free. So the requirements here is level 18 Tycoon and level 21 Tycoon for the setup. Optimally, you have level 24 Tycoon for A1 Chiz to unlock one of our awakenings, which I'll also break down later my personal experience of how valuable each one is. So the next soft requirement is when you do have her signature arc, you are going to need to hold 1 million fawns to fully activate the buff of her signature weapon. I have it at tier 2 because I am like 27. I'm like 30 right now. But tier 1 is going to be 2.5% cosmos damage for every 100,000 fawns, which is 25% cosmos damage. Very important. I would highly recommend, if you do invest in this, to just hold 1 million fawns. Okay, anything above that you can use, but like if you don't have that right now, just use your stamina from this week. Just get 1 million fawns and like let her do her thing. Okay, just let her do her thing. This will pay off long term, I promise you. Her damage is unique. So her damage is from her skill. Okay, she scales off of damage bonus and crit damage. Okay, not crit rate. Possibly attack, but mostly damage bonus. So like her scalings are kind of funky here if you look at her skill. She's got the normal damage ratios, right, on her skill, right? She also has bonus damage per grain. This is her like unique counter, and this is where all the juice comes out. So let me just go over everything real quick. For her, crit damage is kind of weird, but it's in her signature arc. Her abilities either just are guaranteed to crit, or they just don't crit at all. You can think of her kind of like an elemental mastery scaler from Genshin, where we're gonna be investing in damage bonus in as much of her stats as possible. You guys can see here, I have 40% cosmos damage and 26.4% universal damage bonus, which we'll get to. So yeah, all of her damage comes from her skill, which I'm lazy as but you should really level this up as high as you can. This has a very short cooldown, okay? It's a 3-second cooldown. You can hold 3 charges of it. It does flat damage based off of a unique grain counter to her kit, which her tooltip will always show you, but it says multiple times, this ability cannot crit, okay? Cannot crit. When her ult is active though, the first one that you do is guaranteed to crit. So that's why we do like crit damage, but it's less important than raw damage bonus. So console-wise, go to our console. It's super easy to build, all right? We're just searching for damage bonus and crit damage on pieces, and that's basically it. So you guys can see here, this one, a damage bonus. It's just the damage percent right here, this little triangle thing, okay? Damage percent, a damage percent, etc. You guys get the drill. This is how we're building her, okay? So yeah, because of this way, it's actually beneficial to have defensive stats like HP and defense because she's a unique damage type and she values survivability. And also, this is an important thing to note, she gets an extra 10% Cosmo damage for every type 3 module. So type 3 just means a 3 block module, like one of these. Type 3 module equipped. In this, you guys can see here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have the other 2 pieces. Besides the ones that are included in this one, we have a total of 4 here. So you guys will notice that I have 40% Cosmos damage bonus. Okay, just to give you perspective, this is what my Chiz's stats are running with the setup. This is what my Nani looks like. Like, it's crazy. I have so much more stats on Nani, but like Chiz is just juiced. Okay, so show you guys build 4-piece Cosmos, getting 25% ignore defense after the word cast ultimate. In fact, it's on stack. Cosmos damage plus 10%. We have the signature with 1 million funds banked. She's level 50 with level 50 arc. For her Esper ability, I'm really lazy, like I said, but prioritize her skill as much as possible. This is where all of her damage comes from. So how does she work? Okay, so Chiz, see that tooltip bar? 0, okay? How does she work? She's gonna be your main DPS. You're gonna be paying attention to her tooltip number. That's how much grain she has. It's like a stock market, okay? Higher number equals better. So it caps out at 10,000 naturally, and it starts at 0, okay? Let me just do a couple attacks. Boom. You guys can see that number going up. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna keep fast forwarding this here. We can hold this. Boom. Okay. She can use her skill 3 times. Bonk, 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 bonk. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Holding it, we can do the spinny thingy. Yeah, so now we're in dead, okay? So when she ults, she gains a temporary 10,000 grain boost and enters this little stock market mini game on her tooltip, okay? Okay, so after using ultimate, she enters the grain market where the amount of grain held fluctuates based on the current grain price. This might be a little bit annoying for you. It's like a little mini game you play, but I promise you it's worth it because she's strong. When you use her E, when it's like above the line, positive number, it'll give her an increase to her grain until the cap. More grain equals more damage. So higher number equals more damage. Pretty simple concept. Crazy thing though is that the actual damage done is insane. Okay, so watch this. 50%. 54,000. Like, I don't, bro. Like, it's just so wild to see a character like this like do that much damage. With my investment and max grain, you guys can see that my guaranteed crits were almost hitting 60,000. And then her normal E's were doing like 10k, and then her in ultimate amount was about 20k. So like her damage is super consistent. Ult's uptime is also really frequent. So she just became this powerhouse of damage that I could constantly rotate into and rely on. The fact that her skill CD, by the way, is only 3 seconds and can hold 3 charges just makes her feel like really reliable to play. So she also has a hold mode that I showed you in the tutorial, but I barely use this because it consumes a lot of grain to deal damage and can be difficult to control, and also can put you in debt, which is like not a great thing because if you have negative grain, you're dealing no damage. When you enter negative grain, by the way, it's kind of hard to restabilize her stuff. Like it's really hard to like bring it back up to 0 and have a positive amount. It takes a long time. The ramp up time is like the hardest part about her. So once you have her at high grain, you want to keep her there until you're sure like, hey, I'm gonna go all in here and kill the thing. So like I said, the only times I do use the hold are when I'm confident I can finish the fight with it. Okay, so now that you basically have a crash course on what she does, here's a montage of me becoming more and more impressed with her capabilities in endgame and also carrying my ass. All right, Chiz, do your thing. Get them big bars up. That's not a big bar. That is a big bar. That's a big bar. Fine. 59k. Oh, I chunked these guys already by so much. The burst is insane, actually. Oof. Much damage, bro. Dude, look at how much damage she does. You're stupid, bro. Okay. That was already good damage here. Now she's max range. We just play like normal. A big price increase. 39k right there. Okay, let's see. So yeah, Chiz is just an F2P godsend of a character. Since she is Cosmos typing here, she can pair with either Sakiri or Hanyul as your attack buffer. Not sure how much of attack really matters for her, but it's in her base scaling, so it should be better than nothing. So let's take a look at the reaction stuff. If you can get it, 1 Anima and 1 Lakshana is optimal for the 3 synergies Remora, Blossom, and Charge. Okay, but to synergize all 3 can be a bit difficult. For my optimal setup, I enjoy Hathor, a burst sub DPS as my Lakshana, and then 1 buffer and then a Flux Anima. Jillian is going to be ideal for her skills grouping, but most of you will run Jillian with Nanali, like I do in my first team here. So I just run Mint because she's like the only other Anima character besides Nanali and Jillian. Alright, so now that you understand the true power of Chiz, here's an overview of my endgame clears and some endgame tips to share with you all. So starting at floor 6, okay? Floor 6 is where you're going to need 2 teams. All my clears are done with no buffs, just to show you the raw potential, but please use these buffs because they make the clears a lot easier. You can also see exactly the enemies that you're facing with the enemy details, and it specifically shows you which enemies are boss enemies. So boss enemies are typically just 1 enemy fights, so it's just a DPS and a mechanic check for you. Like I said near the beginning of the video, floor 10 was the most challenging for me, since Morphix has a heavy amount of movement and some stall. The good thing is that the element weakness is favorable to Nanali and Chiz, as they're weak to Anima and Cosmos, which makes things a lot easier. Clearing floor 10 grants you access to the rotational stages, which starts at level 65 on the enemies. The buff is 30% Cosmos damage and Anima damage, which currently is perfect for Nanali and Chiz. This buff by itself made these floor clears extremely easy to 3-star, even though I'm 15 to 20 levels down with very rough, unoptimized gameplay. Do be careful though, starting at these stages, enemies hurt, so it will be a dodge check. Alright, so taking a look at composition tips. So if you guys take a look at my composition is pretty similar through all these clears here. Basically, I have just a couple raw tips to share with you guys. This is not going to be exhaustive. This is just what I use and what I felt when I was doing these runs. Okay, so Sakiri. Sakiri is a must for meta. She has grouping with her hold skill and of course team attack buff on her ultimate. So excellent for the grouping side, which is usually the inbound route, but can also be used on either side. Doesn't really matter. Hanyul is going to be a must to round out buffing for both sides because she's effectively just an A-rank version of Sakiri. MC with day off is insane unit to use for guaranteeing those QTEs, which are your S-burst cycles. For those of you that don't know, her skill provides 100 cycle energy, which is 100%, which triggers the intro abilities of your other characters, which allows you to activate those cycle reactions. Take a look here. Esper ability, skill, attributes, 100 cycle energy. Okay. And if you guys are unaware as well, if we take a look at info here, these are the cycle reactions. So this is what happens in procs if you intro into someone who's chained with the right elements. All right, and then my final recommendation is, of course, Jillian. This is the best teammate for Nanali, but also just has grouping with her tap skill, which is super useful. So far in these early rotational floors, there are no boss enemies. It's just a bunch of group of tanky mobs. Besides that, any DPS works. So for this, also you guys can notice, because of the way that the enemies are kind of built, sometimes I decide to switch over. Right, sometimes I decide to use Jillian on the Chiz side so that I have one source of AoE on both sides. Sakiri's AoE here, and then Jillian's AoE here. Chiz is going to be carrying one side, and then the other one's just going to be your DPS of choice. Okay, make sure to abuse quick swapping, just like in Wuthering Waves. It's incredibly powerful in this game, and you want to cycle all your character skills as much as possible. Alright, so that's basically all the advanced tips that I can give you guys from my experience climbing the end game. Discovering Chiz was by far the most mind-blowing thing I've experienced in this game when it came to meta. She was so consistently strong with low cooldown skill spam. However, she is considered flat damage type. Because of the way how her grain works, there's not really a way that you can increase this damage once you experience how it is. So as we get more powerful characters, they will inevitably become a lot stronger than her. But as a free character that you can fully awaken with Tycoon and fully refine her arc, she more than deserves all that early game investment because she will hard carry you for the foreseeable future. I just realized on that topic, I totally forgot to even mention our awaken abilities. So let's do that right now. So if you guys don't know, by the way, if you have even just one of these unlocked, you can change this to literally any of the 6, which is kind of disgusting. Like, just as an example, change it here, change it here, doesn't matter, okay? The icon literally changes. All right, let's go through them. Storage capacity of grain and grain loan by 10%. This basically just increases her damage by 10%. It's pretty good, but not good as in like a first upgrading because you want more utility. Grain acquisition efficiency, you don't need this. Grants 10% of current grain as interest per second while Chiz is in surplus state. This is okay. So surplus state is whenever Chiz's grain is above 0. So she'll gain 10% of the current one as interest per second. So like you'll passively gain it even if she's not like doing any sort of abilities. It's okay. Grants Chiz grain equal to 100% of the grain storage limit upon entering combat. This is actually pretty good for front-loaded damage. So for example, when you enter combat, you're going to be entering at 0. But if you do have this active, you're going to enter at 10,000. This means that on your first ultimate, you'll be immediately 20k when you ult, which means you're going to immediately get max damage on your max damage just in general. If you were to ult initially without this, you would probably be dealing about 20k to 10k less, which is not that low, but it's still like, you know, something significant. Now, this is the one that I choose. And this is what I would always choose as the first one. This increases the chance of a grain price increase by 50%. What does this mean? When you press ultimate, you're gonna see a bar of your stock market. This increases the chance that you get good ones, the ones that you can actually press E on. When you don't have this active, there's a chance that you only have like 1 or 2 good bumps and a lot of negative bumps. This basically means you're never pressing E and you're never getting the good damage off. And if you do, you're gonna lose grain in doing so, which is really bad. So this one is what I would do first, no matter what. It's really good and it really scales well if you're doing main DPS Chiz. You constantly want to do this, right? You constantly want to press E on the good stuff so that she can constantly do damage. All right, so second one, I did this one, increases the bonus cosmos damage of grain by 15%. I don't really know the difference between these two, to be honest. You could probably do either one, doesn't really matter. This is the most important one though. I would say the last and the lowest value one is probably grain acquisition efficiency, because you get grain so fast that you won't feel this. You won't feel this at all. This one is just 10% DPS. It's like the same thing as this. This one is front-loaded damage. And then this one is the interest one if you are holding more. So I can see as you optimize Chiz gameplay that this one becomes stronger. But right now, I know I'm information overloading you guys. If you get your first copy, pick this one. Okay, pick the chance of a grain price increase. It will make your ultimates a lot more consistent and you'll be less depressed. Okay, cool. All right, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this humble guide on Chiz and advanced endgame tips for NTE's endgame. Don't forget to like and sub and comment your own experiences with Chiz. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Good luck on your grind in NTE. Hope you guys are having fun, and take care.